Okay, what clothing was received?
Referring to S34 again, they came in bags. One bag had several items. You want me to go through each one of them?
Well, just specifically the outer clothing. Was there a shirt and pants received?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of condition was that clothing in?
Some of them were previously cut, as probably by paramedics, EMTs, and they were bloody.
Okay. I'm going to show you S190, which is in evidence. If you could take a look at the screen there. What is displayed here in S190?
These are the pants that the decedent had on, or at some point in time he had them on, and you see they're previously cut.
Okay. On the screen that's behind you there, could you point out where those cuts were located?
Yeah, you can see right along here.
Now I'm going to show you S191. And is this the reverse side, the back of those pants that were displayed in S190?
You're right, that's the back of the pants. This is the left, and that's the right.
Moving to the shirt that was received. Is that the shirt displayed here in S192?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What was noted about this shirt, at least on this side of the shirt, the front?
Aside from it being previously cut and blood stains, there's a defect. Some of those defects were hard to tell because of the EMTs cutting through, but we're able to find other defects.
As far as the cuts that were observed on the shirt that's depicted in S192, where were those cuts at, if you could point them out to the jury?
Right through here and across that left shoulder area.
I'm going to show you S193. Is this the reverse side, the back of the shirt that was displayed in S192?
That's correct. That's the right, that's the left, viewed from the back.
And were there any defects noted on the shirt that's displayed there in S193?
Yes, there were.
Okay. And where were those defects located?
Right here, left armpit, shoulder area, and right over here.
And when you said right over here, where was that located? Is that like the center of the back of the shirt?
Yeah, almost toward the center of the back. This one.
Now I'm going to show you a couple of closer shots. S195. What is displayed here in S195?
This is showing a linear defect in the back of the left shoulder area of the shirt.
And that was also visible in S193 earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm going to show you S196. What is displayed here in S196?
That's another defect in the shirt.
Was that the one that was located in near the middle of the back of the shirt?
Yes.
Doctor, how was Mr. Durham's body received once it was at Shore Memorial Hospital in order for the autopsy to be conducted?
I'm not sure what you mean by how was it received.
Was it contained in a body bag? Was it sealed? Things of that nature.
Again, referring to S34. Yes, he was in a black body bag, a white body bag, and in a sheet.
Was the body bag sealed in any fashion?
Yes, it was.
What's the purpose of the seal?
To preserve any evidence and to secure the body.
Was there also an identification tag that accompanied the body bag as well as the seal?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you S187. What's here in S187?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
What is displayed here in S187?
This is the identification tag that was attached to the body bag.
And the yellow item that's to the left side of the screen, what is that?
Our lock seal.
And was that seal broken prior to conducting the autopsy?
No.
It was not. Was it preserved in some fashion?
I'm sorry?
Was it preserved in some fashion?
Yes.
So what was the next step that was undertaken during the course of the autopsy?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean. Next step.
What's done with the body once it's taken from the location where it was received at the medical examiner's office, and where is it placed in order for you to conduct the autopsy?
All right, once we broke the seal and I saw the body, any kind of stabbing case, we'll do x-rays on the part of the body where the wounds are, just in case sometime there's actually a knife blade or knife tip still in the body. So we did x-rays. Then I can perform the external examination, starting with the clothing. With clothing and injuries, you want to see if there are any defects in the clothing that correspond to the wounds on the body. Sometimes it's difficult because clothes have folds. People wear their clothes loose. So you try to correlate the defects on the clothing with the body. Then I do the external examination with the height and the weight, color of the hair, document tattoos, if they had medical treatment, catheters, tubes, document all of that, take appropriate photographs, then look at the back of the body, photograph, measure, and then after the general external examination, then key in on the different injuries, the gunshot wounds, the abrasions, bruises, and things like that.
During the course of your external examination of Mr. Durham, did you document the approximate height and weight of Mr. Durham?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Is that reflected in your report?
It is.
Okay. Now, what was Mr. Durham's height and weight?
Referring to S34 again, we measured him at 71 inches or 5 feet 11.
Okay. And his weight?
187 pounds.
Was there a description provided of his physical condition?
Yes.
Okay. And what was that noted as?
Description of the physical condition, you said?
Yes. Was he well-nourished? Things of that nature.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes. Generally, appear to be normally developed, well-nourished, and where else should I go?
Oh, no, that I think that explains what I was going at. So, did you know any kind of evidence of medical or surgical intervention that Mr. Durham had apparently received?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and what was noted?
Again, referring to S34 on page 4, evidence of medical surgical intervention. He had a breathing tube or tracheal tube in his mouth. He had the little EKG electrodes on his chest and abdomen. He had defibrillator pads, one on the right side of the chest and one on the lower left side of the chest. He had a catheter in a vascular catheter or IV in the lower left side of his neck. He had what they call intraosseous catheters. Those are catheters they put directly into the bone marrow. He had one on both of his lower legs, right below the knees. Another intravascular catheter in the back of his right hand, and one in the, we call left, in the antecubital fossa, inside the left arm. And that, aside from that, he had a chest tube in the left side of his chest. Chest tube was put in to drain blood. We had a chest tube in. He had a blood pressure cuff, a tourniquet and a blood pressure cuff on the right arm.
We do need to take a break. We're going to stop there, and when we come back, we're going to get you back into the courtroom. Medical examiner, imperative testimony when the prosecution has to prove elements of the crime and that this was not self-defense. Stay tuned. Court TV Live.
Tonight, my closing arguments, the Doomsday Cult Mom murder trial, the case against Lori Vallow Daybell. Her and her husband, Chad Daybell, will stand trial separately for the murders of her 2 children and Chad's late wife. We'll bring you all the key details ahead of opening statements. And on the docket, a decades-old case involving a clown, a gun, and an alleged affair.
Closing arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
At Angie.com.
We are following the New Jersey trial for Zachary Latham, accused of fatally stabbing his neighbor Timmy Durham back in May of 2020. The killing allegedly stems from a series of increasingly hostile interactions between the defendant and the Durham family. On the stand now is a medical examiner, Dr. Albert Williams. We're going to get you back into court for continuing direct examination.
Chest.
Just by the time I got to examine him, he only had 50 milliliters, about a half a cup of blood left.
You sound a little surprised by that. Why were you surprised by there only being 50 milliliters?
Because you know that a person is not going to die from just a half a cup of blood loss. And, you know, from experience, you know that there was bloody clothing. I know that I had the information before I did the case of what happened. I was told there was blood, and I know that at some point in time he had a lot more blood in his left pleural cavity.
How were you able to determine that there was more blood in the left pleural cavity than what was present?
Like I just said, between the bloody clothing, description of the scene from, I think, law enforcement who was there, and I just knew there was more blood than this 50 milliliters at the time of the autopsy.
Would the chest tube also have assisted in the drainage of any blood that would have been in the chest cavity?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to refer you now at this time to S203. What is displayed here in S203?
Okay, for orientation purposes, that's his left arm. That way is the head. This way is towards the feet. And here's this stab wound. So it's about 1 inch in length and about 6/16 inches wide. Your skin is elastic, so it tends to pull wounds apart. So what we do is stab wounds, we'll try to relax the skin around it or tape it so we can kind of see if there's a sharp edge or a blunt, sharp edge, if we can tell.
And is the chest tube also noted here in S203?
Yes, this is the chest tube right here.
Now I'm going to show you S205. What does S205 depict?
That's trying to relax the skin around the wound so I can reapproximate the stab wound edges to see if I can tell there's a sharp end or a blunt, sharp end.
And upon the reapproximation, were you able to determine if there is a double-edged blade, single-edged blade? What did you find?
Well, looks like this is a sharp end, blunt.
So which way would the object have been oriented when this wound was caused?
Would it have been oriented?
Would the sharp end be to the top, the blunt end to the bottom? How would the...
Do you have another photograph of that?
I do not at this
How about the one before it?
Sure.
Okay, here you can see better. Sometimes when you reapproximate, it still doesn't quite help, but here, the original wound, you can see better. This is more sharp edge, this is more blunt. So with a knife that has a single edge, the sharper end would have been this way. The blunt end or the back of the knife would have been over here.
And again, you indicated that there was an injury to the lung that was associated with this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to show you S207 at this time. What is depicted here in S207?
All right, that's the left lung. That's the top of the lung, that's the bottom of the lung. And I'm showing a probe where the stab wound is, and I'm here showing how far into the lung it went.
How far into the lung did the knife or penetrating object go into the lung?
All right, for accuracy purposes, I'll refer to S34 again, and it's 2.5 inches into the lung. From here to about there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here to where my fingertip is.
The overall depth of penetration from the point where it entered the skin on the exterior of the body to the point where it stopped inside of the lung, what was the overall depth of that wound?
The overall depth was 5 inches to 6 inches deep into the left chest cavity, into the left lung.
Through the course of the autopsy, did you note other injuries to the left side of the victim's body, specifically his arm?
Yes.
Okay. What other injuries did Mr. Durham receive to his left arm?
Left arm. Those are more incised wounds, very superficial cuts that are longer than they are deep.
And where were those located on the arm?
Referring to S34 again. Let's see. Actually, both arms had some of those. Let's see. Okay, one is the left forearm, more on the front of the left forearm. I think that's it as far as the upper extremities go.
Let me show you S208. What is depicted here in S208?
Here is just a bruise or contusion. And
Oh, I'm sorry.
here is a very superficial incised wound. See right here, this linear.
Is that also depicted here in S209?
Yes.
Moving to the right arm of Mr. Durham, was there any injury that was noted to the right arm of Mr. Durham?
Yes, there was.
What was the major wound that you noted?
That was a deep incised wound.
And what was the injury that was associated with that wound?
Basically, it was like right here on the biceps area of the right arm. It was deep. You could see some of the muscle, fat that was cut, a lot of small blood vessels, but none of the deep, larger blood vessels. As you know, when you go to get your blood drawn, the veins are like right under the skin. So there were some veins that were cut, which will lead to a lot of bleeding.
I'm going to show you S214 at this time. What is depicted here in S214?
This is that deep incised wound on the right arm.
And I believe you also indicated that there was, at least in your report, that there was an additional wound that was received to the forearm.
Yes.
The blood vessels, you indicated that there were veins associated with the injury. That was the deep gaping incised wound.
There were small veins cut, small arteries, some smaller nerves, and actually part of the biceps muscle was cut. And also, as you can see, this under the skin or subcutaneous fat was cut.
Now I'm going to show you S218. What is depicted here in S218?
Here I'm trying to relax the skin around it to try to assess whether there's a blunt and sharp end.
Were you able to determine whether there was a sharp or blunt end?
Let me refer to S34. Yeah, blunt was over here and sharp was here. This is the right arm. Okay, that's the right side of the chest. So this is lateral and this is medial. So here was the blunt and the sharp was over here. It's almost like a comet shape.
Now, why did you classify this as an incised wound as opposed to a stab wound?
By experience and training, incised wounds are generally longer than they're deep. Stab wounds are deeper than they are wide. But some incised wounds can be really deep, like this one. But it fits the category, the criteria of an incised wound, just that it's a deep incised wound.
During the course of your autopsy, did you also note a number of other injuries to Mr. Durham's right arm?
Yes.
Okay, what were those injuries?
Referring to S-34 again, there was abrasions, which is like a scrape, you know what, like you scrape your knee. Some more abrasions. Yeah, numerous little injuries here and there, abrasions and bruises on both extremities.
Okay. I'm going to show you S220. What is depicted here in S220?
This is a superficial incise wound of the right forearm.
And
There's some bruising around.
And in S221? What is
There, it's a
depicted here?
nice picture of a superficial classic incised wound, longer than it is deep.
Is that associated with the, or near the injury that was depicted earlier, which is the deep gaping incised wound?
Yes.
I'm going to show you S222. What is depicted here in S222?
A superficial wound right here. This is the right arm, the biceps area. Yeah, I guess just a little wound here.
Is there also bruising associated with that? Or is the redness that is located more on the bicep, is that...
Let's see. Referring to S-34 again, that's the right arm. By the way, from the shoulder to the elbow is arm, and from the elbow to the wrist is forearm. All right, let me just refer to S-34 again.
Yep.